In an alternate 1997, crime has become so riddled in the United States that the government converted Manhattan Island in New York into one gigantic maximum security prison in which no one can escape from. Air Force One is hijacked by anti-government insurgents who deliberately crash it into New York City. The Secretary of Defense needs to rely on an ex-soldier and current federal prisoner, Snake Plissken. Snake needs to get into the prison, get the president out, and will be pardoned of all his crimes. But he only has 24 hours to do so before the bombs in his neck detonate. Escape from New York, while being a very entertaining sci-fi action movie, also deals with themes of crime, punishment, government, and law and lawlessness. While we also experience the aspects of what Snake Plissken has to go through in order to survive this hellscape, the movie forces us to raise the question, can you have freedom within chaos? The prison within Manhattan Island is very unique, as no one is actually shackled, confined to any specific location, but instead the actual island itself is the location, with each person creating their own form of ability to do what they want, be it involved with gangs, be it prostitution, or just trying to survive another day as much as you can. New York is the setting for a specific reason. It's not coincidence that they chose this location to set the film in, although it is an alternate universe and an alternate timeline. The symbology around New York City, and more importantly, the concept around symbols like the Statue of Liberty or the World Trade Center, represent commerce and freedom within each people. And for it to somehow still stand despite all the chaos around it is a representation of what Snake experiences while within its prison walls, and each prisoner does on a day-to-day basis. Snake, while also being a criminal himself, is more or less an animal in a cage, for all the people around him are very untrusting. Just as Snake can't trust them, they can't trust Snake to a certain degree. He's constantly thrust into situations that he can't really control. He's very much forced into situations, even though he has a limited amount of supplies, like a machine gun. He easily runs out of the bullets. He has a little plane, but it can only take off at a certain location at a certain time. He's given a tracker, but it's proved to be defective. So ultimately, Snake really has to rely mostly on his actual instincts, very much like an animal. However, the difference is that Snake is more of a soldier than he is a criminal, using his tactics, his brain, his intellect to try to maneuver around the situations in the world around him, and only getting close to those that he absolutely knows can't do him any harm, or at least do less harm. While Snake is looking for the president has actually been abducted by the highest ranking gang leader in all of New York, the Duke. The Duke runs this maximum security prison within its walls, having gang influence throughout every aspect of it. And yet, here stands the quote-unquote leader of the free world. But this free world doesn't exist for the prisoners within its walls. The greatest example of this is the scene with the president being used as shooting range for the Duke. Here we have arguably the most powerful person on the planet, and he's inconsequential to the Duke. He doesn't matter, because within the walls, his power is gone. The president learns the truth that we all know. Power is only temporary, but influence doesn't have a set time limit. Often in criminal psychology, there's the nature versus nurture debate. Are you raised a criminal, or do you eventually just choose to become one? But the aspect that most people don't think about is nature versus reputation. Many people are thrust into these criminal worlds, be it no fault of their own. But do you become a criminal to survive, or do you become a criminal to rise above and gain a reputation? Sort of to have a hold of something tangible within your world and outside of it? Why, comparatively to someone like, say, the Duke, would someone like Cabby or someone like the Brain, who, yes, did something illegal, but was it to the extent that they should be put into this prison? These are arguments that constantly get put into different court systems and different locations for criminals. By taking somewhat soft crime and putting it into a hardened prison, you make that soft criminal hardened by proxy. This is often cited in different textbooks and different criminal psychology books, but there's always a root cause to it. Near the end of the film, Snake, the president, and his friends have to drive across the bridge to get to the outside of the prison using a map that marks locations where there are landmines on the road, while being chased by the Duke. Unfortunately, they are stopped, and some of them do not make it. As Pliskin is trying to get out, fighting the Duke, the president, while on top of the wall, kills the Duke in a ballistic rampage, turning him into the very criminal that he feared. But in the aftermath, he shakes himself off, wears a suit, and acts as though nothing happened. This is the true chaos of the film. The true criminals are not the ones that we have a pinpoint idea of what they look like. People like the Duke wearing ragged clothes and parading themselves around with criminals. Criminals are not someone like Snake Plissken who has an eye patch and seems intimidating. No, the true criminals are the ones that seem normal, that seem average, that seem that nothing is wrong, when deep down within they commit atrocities and sweep them under the rug as if they don't matter. Who have power, abuse, use, and destroy because they can. So, can you have freedom within chaos? Freedom is the right to be existing. Freedom is a right. But it is a right that many people exploit, many people abuse, many people use, and many people want to destroy. Because it's not a matter of them wanting you to have freedom. It's a matter of them wanting you to have less freedom than them. This movie shows that the chaos within the prison, while being unruly and often scary, is what happens when you take everything off of a leash. There's no boundaries, there's no rules. But in that same way, there's no preservation of any goodness. The only good qualities are the fact that there aren't any qualities. And in that same way, those examples of higher ranking people who feel that they are free outside of the prison walls, like the military or the president before getting captured, see that they are the free ones. But in reality, they are the prisoners within themselves. But the true criminals are not the ones within the prison. The true criminals, much like what happens at the end of the film with the president, are the ones that are willing to sweep their crimes under the rug, but are totally willing to throw you under. And just as the ending of the film, as everything was sacrificed, the president was mentally and physically broken, Snake's allies got killed, and Snake almost got killed himself just for a tape and the president. Snake takes away the tape, switches it with another, rips apart the tape, and uses his real freedom to walk away. But in the end, these aren't answers. They're hypotheticals.
And I was drawn in by the story.
Hoping anyone with information comes forward now.
Now the LAPD is asking for your help and fearing for the worst.